I've had a variety of people ask me, how do I make skjoldehamn hoods? So today I'm going to show you. A skjoldehamn hood is made of 4 pieces. 2 pieces that are 12 by 12. That allows a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. And a second piece that you will cut 2 of these, 26 inches long by 13 inches wide. As you can see from my scrap, I have a variety of pieces I could use. I have this little bit down here that I can cut my 2 squares from without wasting the larger part of my fabric. I'm going to place that, find where it is, square it up. I like to use a straight edge to cut with because I'm not so great with the eyeballing a straight edge. With the 12 inch by 12 inch, I'm using that with a 1/2 inch seam allowance already added in. While a 1/2 inch might seem large, that's enough fabric underneath that you could turn the seam and finish it by hand if you would like to. When it comes to wool, or really any fabric, I like to use a pinking blade. Other people not so much. Use what works for you. We're going to cut that out. I have my 2 squares. With the way my piece is left, I could do a seam at the top and have my herringbone go up and down, or I could cut it across and have my herringbone go across. I'm going to go ahead and do an up and down version simply because that's going to leave me some more fabric to make something else with. And I want to make sure, because this was torn and herringbone doesn't tear straight because it's a diagonal weave, we need to make sure it's even. Again, so I can turn the edges under by hand if I would like to, but I don't have to. And recall we said we were going to add a 1/2 inch if I needed a top seam. I'm going to begin by sewing the top seam on the hood, the 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you're a pin user, use pins and pin it together. Using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to go to the hem edge of my long piece, and I'm going to add on my first 12 by 12 square. I find it helpful to start at the hem edge and sew upward. This will end up being the back of the hood. Leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance so that you'll be able to join the other side of the hood, as you'll see in just a moment. I like to do a little back stitch to help secure the fabric. Depending on the fabric, you don't have to. I find it works well. Go to the other hem end, the corner of your 12 by 12, and I'm going to separate those two pieces so that I can lay my seams down on the inside so there's no overlap. And now when I finish my seams by hand, I'll be able to turn them all. And we zip that right up the back of the hood. And you can see how all of the seams then lay down, and there's no bulk in the seams. Now we're going to work on the front section, and this is where the face section will be. Now on this one, it's important again, start a 1/2 inch down, and notice how I'm going to fold a small triangle where the chin section would be. As I sew up towards that triangle, I should come out right next to my first seam so that my square has a finished point under my chin. You want to make sure that triangle is laid right down and those seams come out next to one another. A little bit of back seam is good right here. And you can see how that finishes the point with all of the seams being able to be laid down. Now we're ready to sew the hem, which you could do by hand or by machine. Make sure you lay open your seams. Again, if you're planning to finish them on the inside, it's nice to have them laid open. You can finish your seams either with a machine and a decorative stitch, or by hand with a beautiful decorative stitch. And here we have our skjoldehamn hood. You see that it hangs down the way it should. I can put the hood down, and now I have something warm to wear around the studio.